Welcome back to the T20 World Cup wrap-up show. India, Australia, South Africa have cruised through the group stages unscathed. Afghanistan and West Indies have put New Zealand golden era into retirement. England went minnow bashing to sneak past Scotland after they were pipped by Australia at the death. USA got a gift from the weather gods to put Pakistan out of their misery. And today, Bangladesh took care of Nepal to book the last place in the Super 8s. This show is called The Good, The Bad and the Land of the Free, where we wrap up all the good and the bad of the World Cup into a bite-sized show for you to consume. My name is Matt Hunter, or Munter. This is Jacko. This is Maximum Cricket, powered by Domino's Pizza. If you've been with us before, or you've been enjoying the T20 World Cup, please do hit that like and subscribe button and join us for the ride.
Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
Jacko, the group stage is all done and dusted. Well, it's not quite done. We've got New Zealand play PNG tonight. Afghanistan play the West Indies. None of those games mean anything. So in terms of the group stage, 20 teams have been whittled down to eight teams. We have seen a lot of different teams perform at this World Cup. How have you enjoyed going from 20 to 8 and just seeing a lot of different size, different versions of cricket, different fields? We've seen USA. That's our last USA game today. Your overall sort of just feeling of the group stage?
I think the group stage has just provided a good taster, especially for the American market. In terms of got a few games, I don't want to dig too deep into like how poorly those pitches were and the net effect they've had. But I think, bringing the product to America has been good so far. I think we've got it there to go into later, but I think USA doing well is massive for the tournament, and great to see. I've been happy enough with the start in the format. I think whittling down and seeing some teams sort of bow out pretty early, I think it might be sort of a kick up the arse that actually the sort of teams, 8 through 12 are actually sort of growing sort of as cricket nation. So a good measuring stick, I think, for some of the sort of minnows who have now qualified or came really close, and probably hopefully a kick up the arse for some of the test teams. As I think the best we can ask from the group stage. Some insane cricket, some reality checks, and some measuring sticks for the lower down teams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously New Zealand have not benefited from the shootout type mentality, but I think it creates a bit of urgency straight off the bat, which I like, and I think it's proven that that there were a couple of sort of one-sided games towards the end when teams started to look at net run rate, which we will get into, but there's a lot of good cricket teams out there, I think, and it sort of proves that when we were limiting it to 10, even 12, that was not enough, because there's actually some really good teams. There's probably only sort of 2 to 3 actually teams that just aren't quite up to it, and that's okay, because that's how you grow the game. So, there's plenty of other sports where, I mean, the Rugby World Cups, there's plenty of 100-0s. We've got the Euros on at the moment. There's going to be a lot of 7-0 drubbings. You can't escape that sort of stuff. But you talk about the pitches, at least it gave a lot of those games meaning for a lot longer than perhaps it would have been, which I think is a plus. Do I like seeing teams go up 4 and over? Not personally, but it made it exciting and it kept a lot of teams in it. So, it's win-win all round. 8 teams down to 8 teams now. It's actually going to get quite exciting.
100%. And I think you made a good point. I think being the T20 nature, it actually has got 20 down to 8 quite quickly. I think when the one-day World Cup sort of goes for this format, it can stretch out and feel really long. But I'm quite surprised with how, the shootouts a great sort of way to summarise it, because it doesn't feel like it's dragged out, and it feels like, okay, we're actually ready for some Super 8, see where these informed sides are all at, and then get to the finals. So the format as well standing up, which is good to see.
Okay, so that's a good wee segue onto our something good and something bad, which is going to sort of wrap up our group stage. It doesn't really matter what happens tonight. That's not really going to add to the something good. They're dead rubbers essentially, which we will get into later on. I've got 4 nominations into something good. USA qualifying for the Super 8s. Like you touched on it earlier. That's just one of the stories of the tournament. It started on opening night. It started off with a bang between USA and Canada. Corey Anderson going further than the rest of the Black Caps. Like, who would have picked that? We've got like Bairstow Sports sharing it. Will it ever go mainstream? That's the real question. Probably not, but it's we can sort of dream. I thought the race for the Group B between Scotland and England sort of lived up to its billing. I actually thought it was really quite exciting towards the end, when you had sort of England playing first on one day, beating Namibia, and then you had Scotland playing Australia not long afterwards. It felt like that went right down to the wire until like Australia sort of pipped them at the end. They tried to lose, rested a couple players, dropped 6 catches, but it wasn't to be. England sort of put it to bed a little bit when they beat Oman in 3 overs to sort of like get back that net run rate straight away. But to Scotland's credit, they're very unlucky actually, because they played some good cricket the whole way around. They pushed Australia, who are one of the heavy favourites, to go all the way. So I think that was quite a cool wee sort of race at the end there. I've got Big Puppy Stoin, his MVP form, MVP looks as well. He's got 2 man of the matches in 4 games. He's 156. He is a rig. 156 runs at 78, striking at 190, second most runs in the tournament. On top of that, he's taken 6 poles at 8.6, comedy rate of less than 6. That's impressive stuff. And finally, and what might have seemed like a dead rubber heading into it, South Africa Nepal turned out to be one of the best sort of games. Exactly why 20-team tournaments are great. Nepal probably should have won that game. Unfortunately, they were the ones that choked, not South Africa. But South Africa's been pretty clutch this tournament. They were 85 for 2 off 13, chasing 115. One of the craziest last overs where there were 4 dots chasing 8 off 6. There was also a 4 and a 2 in the middle, with Nepal needing 2 off 2 and just couldn't get the job done. So South Africa won that by 1 run. A few good options there, Jacko. Which of those was your really something good this sort of round?
I mean, look, Stoinis, if this keeps up, he'll be the talk of the Super 8s, I think. So we'll put him on hold, because he's playing really good cricket, and if he continues, the sky's the limit for that Aussie side. I think South Africa, Nepal, and also the Scotland-England race for Group B, I think, as you said, it shows where that 20-man tournament comes into its own. And I think having to actually smoke these, the poor sides for the big dogs, actually gets really interesting. I love that race for Group B, because, it's all good, beating Namibia and then chasing it in 24 minutes, but we're having to do that with your whole tournament on the line. It just adds elements to playing these lesser sides. So, I love the race for Group B, but the good for me this week's got to be USA qualifying. There's so many good stories out of that team. We've got guys sort of working in the hotel in the evening. We've got guys taking annual leave. As you said, Bairstow Sports sharing, that'd be one of the biggest sort of media platforms in the world, and they're talking about the game of cricket. I suppose if you want to talk markets, India for cricket is massive. Europe for football, massive. But the American sports market would be one of the biggest in the world, just for the content, the hype, the revenue generation, everything. So having USA there, having them qualify in a home tournament, sort of getting the irks of these sort of media titans is unbelievable to see. So, it's probably the last time they'll feature on the good, because I imagine they could probably get smoked in all of their Super 8 games. To be decided. They beat Pakistan, so they're playing good cricket, but Yeah, for me, them qualifying for Super 8s is huge for the game and huge for the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's probably the talk of the whole tournament as a whole thus far. We've had the USA League, we've had USA do well, and I thought even when they lost to India, they did make India work a bit, which
Mm.
is good. So they haven't really been, even though they've lost, they haven't really been smoked. So I do hope that sort of continues, and they still push some teams. They are moving to the West Indies, which is obviously new conditions, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. Um, yeah, okay. So something bad. We've got three. We sort of touched on sort of smashing of the minnows. I'm going to put it in the something bad, but I don't know if it is. Depends what you look at it. Sometimes it's quite interesting just to see teams get smoked. Um, Simon Cromwell was massive on that one. He was in our group chat going, he's actually really enjoying the minnows getting absolutely smoked. It is nice to see sort of powerhouses flex their muscles. It's not that great when you keep seeing it. And I know when there's a bit more urgency, these things happen. But when you got Namibia losing to Australia in 24 minutes, Oman losing a whole game from start to finish in 16 overs, they got bowled out in 13, chased down in 3. And then you got Uganda rule out 50 one game, 40 another game, and 30 in another game. It's tough. I know that's what you got. Sometimes this is what happens, but I don't know. It's a bit of a grey area. Not a grey area. Jonny Bairstow's T20 World Cup stats, which has come to light because he made 31 off 18 against Namibia. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it was his highest score at T20 World Cups. So his stats in T20 World Cups, including that, 14 innings,
Almost doubled his best as well. Like, wasn't like he snuck over the line to get his best score
No,
there either, was it?
no, and this is not a small sample size. 14 innings, so that's I'd say three World Cups, 131 runs, average of 13.1, striking at 108. Some real questions how he's actually in that team. I know we all know he's a good player. He's got pedigree, IPL, all sorts, but stats are the stats.
Here's a
That,
here's
yep,
a rogue question for you. Is he becoming the next Aaron Finch? When
shouldn't be picked.
when Aaron Finch is when Aaron Finch is on, like it's unquestionable he should be there. But then when he's not on, he just looks so poor that you question him even being in the side, let alone sort of being captain. And it feels a little bit like that with Bairstow.
I think what makes it worse is he's sort of attracting a lot of attention through the Ashes stuff. So
Yeah.
people sort of noting his scores, but I'm not. Obviously, no one picked up on his scores before this because it's kind of crazy to think that there's a lot of good T20 players in England,
Yeah.
and he's like Jonny plays all three formats, which is not easy. And it
No.
begs the question: like, is he really one of the best 11 English white ball players, like T20 players? Don't know. Yet to see it.
Maybe not.
Not in a T20 World Cup, anyways. I've got one more nomination for something bad. Just the whole not carrying over points and run rates to the Super 8. So the positions were already predetermined, which means essentially getting first and second means nothing. A lot of games that it sort of meant like a lot of games over the last few days haven't really meant anything. Like we've got West Indies, Afghanistan there should be a lot of stakes in that one. It should be like, oh, winner of that goes top of the group, gives them the easier side of the draw or whatever. But it's just like, oh, this is what it is. And they were like, I don't know how they decided the seeding, but it was like India, Australia, Sri Lanka, and New Zealand.
Yeah, you did right because if you want to be in that South Africa, England, USA group, don't you? Really?
Oh, look, England have almost just. It depends how hot West Indies get, but to have, if you're India or Australia, feel a bit robbed actually. You know, you're probably the two strongest teams, and you're in the same pool. You're like, well, hang on.
You one of you is going to have potentially a tougher like semi-final, aren't you? Really? Like one of you is going to have to play the best team in the other group.
Yeah, so I don't know why you need predetermined. I don't know why it matters. Like it's sort of like why don't you just have you can split it up. You can have two groups, two top of the groups, second on one side of the group. Like, try and keep it as fair as possible. There should be a little bit of incentive on coming first, not just getting to the top two, because I think that's what led into the possibility of Australia, throwing that game, because it didn't mean anything to them. Well, obviously momentum and stuff, but they didn't actually need to win that game at all.
Yeah.
It didn't mean anything for them. So that's probably why they dropped 6 catches. So I don't know. It feels a bit wrong, but whatever. That's the rules, but just feels off to me. So any of those sort of stick out. They're not massive bads, which I think is good.
Yeah, I think we sort of just touched it before. I think the bashing of minnows out of context is bad because it does just look poor. Like Namibia showing up to the ground and getting chased down in 24 minutes, or Oman only playing in 16 overs. Like, out of context, if that game doesn't matter, that's not great, because, you're still trying to put a product on the field. You're still trying to have these teams be competitive. But on the flip side, when England have to chase something down in 3 overs, suddenly that's exciting, and suddenly you want to come and watch that. Because cricket is a game where, you probably check in on things and then you watch the last 3 to 5 overs, sort of that culmination. So to have, for those, deleting minnows, if that has some ramifications, I think it's really interesting. But yeah, when it's just, no context, it is bad. But yeah, I mean, for me, they're probably the only one that stands out. It's got to be Bairstow's T20 stats at World Cups. I could not believe, when I saw the 31, I was like, whoever is on media, like, how have they gone and thought, like, get that up? Especially when his previous best was 18. Like, if you're Bairstow, you can't be happy that it's got out there. Like, you want that buried in that game, and you want that buried in that you guys have qualified chasing it in 3 overs. Like, for that to be out there, I might not even say the stats are bad. I'm going to say the media's bad. Whoever put that post up, they're my bad for the week. Oh, yeah, the stats are bad. But if you're like the social media guy or whatever, obviously it can't be an England personality that's put that out there, because you would want that stat buried if you're Bairstow or if you're England.
Here's a list of people that have more T20 World Cup runs, just sort of around that sort of number. Craig McMillan has 163 runs at an average of 40. He batted 5 times our BMAC, so that's quite something. Adam Gilchrist has 169 runs. He batted 6 times. Who else we got here? That's close. There's one here that's like Joe Root. Joe Root's like way more, and he hasn't played since 2016. It's quite something. We've got Scott Stoinis averages 19, and he's got more runs than Jonny Bairstow. So it's a lucrative list. Oh, that's right. I got here Joe Root. Joe Root has double the amount of World Cup runs, and he's batted 6 times. He's averaging a tick under 50. So there you go.
That's
fun fact of the day. Ask yourself, indeed. Got to work on that, Johnny. Okay, so let's move on to the Super 8s, or it's going to be under the Domino's Decision umbrella. So basically, Domino's Decision segment is where we're going to ask some important questions, and we're going to try to answer them to the best of our abilities. It's brought to you by your Domino's Pizza, who they've released a brand new Philly cheesesteak pizza for only $13. They've also agreed to join up with TMC for the rest of the World Cup. They took 2 of the best foods in the history of the world, Philly cheesesteaks and Chicago deep dish pizzas, and they thought, let's whack them all together for only $13. Jacko, I've got a question for you. Outside of your Philly cheesesteaks option, what's your go-to at Domino's, your pizzas?
Oh, they've got some real throwbacks for me. Historically, like as a young nipper, the Mr. Wedge was quite an eye-opener. Something different, something you're sort of not used to. Yeah. I struggle to go past a mega pepperoni. give me 8 slices of that in about 5 minutes. That is, heaps of pepperoni. That's delicious.
Classic for a reason.
Oh yeah, classics are classics, correct. Barbecue bacon cheeseburger or whatever that's called.
That's my number
It's
one.
just
One on one.
That is so good.
Always has. It's always a must.
It's so good. They've got a couple of good of their sort of gourmet ranges, but you don't often get into those. But they are good. And a recent addition, I'll give you 2 sides too, if you want to round your order out. We're talking the cheesy volcano dip. That is fucking exceptional. Get your crusts in there, bit of bite, and then you want to finish things off with a Domino's lava cake, which I think could be the best takeaway dessert on the market, hands down. There you go.
Stuff. That's it.
Use TMC 0. Yeah. Use TMC 0 for TMC 0 for no discount, but get that order in tonight and you'll have a fucking top Monday or Tuesday, whatever day we release.
Domino's do give out like $5 pizzas, so like
TMC 5 to pay an extra 5%. You almost get the TMC combo out at the Centro Otago locations.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that actually. I wouldn't mind sort of like a whole combo where we pick 2 sides.
Yeah, weeds are beautiful.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
So we digressed a little bit, but the question is, it's essentially who comes out of the Super 8s. So we've got 8 teams in Group 1. We've got India, Australia, Afghanistan, Bangladesh. Group 2, we've got South Africa, West Indies, England, and USA. The question is, we're going to go through. We're going to talk about it obviously at depth, but we're going to essentially say who's going to get in that top 4 from those. You got India. They've 3 wins, 1 abandoned. They're paying $1.22 to reach the semi. They're paying $2.75 to win the tournament. They are still the favourites, having not won it since 2007. So Australia, they're 4 wins from 4, looking very, very good. They are your second favourites, $1.25 to reach the semi, $4 to win the tournament. I'm looking at that one. Afghanistan, at the time, they're 3 wins from 3. By the time tomorrow, they might have won 4, they might have lost, but they've been very, very impressive. $3.10 to reach the semi and $19 to win the tournament. Bangladesh, to their credit, 3 wins. Probably should have bet South Africa as well. They were doing 4 wins on the bounce. Pundits don't like them though. They're $6.50 to reach the semis, $67 to win the tournament. So if you chuck $67 on Bangladesh to win, you're going to lose. Okay, I don't care what it's paying, you're just going to lose. Group 2, South Africa, under the radar sort of stuff, but they're 4 wins from 4, and quite a tough pool, I might add. $1.50 to reach the semi, $6.50 to win the tournament. West Indies, unbeaten also. They're going to play Afghanistan. $1.53 to reach the semi, $7 to win the tournament. England snuck through, 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 abandoned. $1.44 to reach the semi, ahead of South Africa. Interesting. $6.50 to win the tournament. And then you got the United States, 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 abandoned. $9.50 to reach the semi-finals, $101 to win the tournament. They are at the bottom of the pops. Jacko, who sticks out to you? Who do you like straight off the bat? Who's your sort of locks?
Let's get Group 1 out of the way, step up to the free throw line and knock them both down. India and Aussie are through. It's not even a question. Just take your shooting foul, get to that line, bury 2, add them to your stats.
I will say,
good to see a couple go through the net.
Yeah, I will say, like, if obviously India and Australia are going to play each other, and whoever doesn't win that game, it starts to get a little dicey, because then they obviously should win those other 2 games, but it just puts a little bit of heat on those other games. So, but do continue.
So I mean, that's just we'll get those 2 in there. Group 2 is going to be very interesting, I think, because you've got one team who are just been a white ball powerhouse in England in recent years, who are playing some pretty poor cricket. as of late. And I mean, they're favourites to get out of that Group 2. And, we don't know who's turning up for England. So, if that team that went for 90 off 10 overs against Scotland shows up, they could be done. But, yeah, I just don't know where to put England. And then West Indies, they're a momentum side. They could lose they could not win another game at the World Cup or win the whole thing, and neither would shock me. Genuinely,
100%.
Like they could
100%.
lose to Afghanistan and then somehow lose all their pool games and then get to USA, not care, be about 8 days into a bender and lose that too. So yeah, do we sit?
Just
And
like
then
champion
South
on
Africa
repeat.
is Hold on, we're round of 20 champions. But yeah, and then South Africa as well. Like, I just don't know where to put them. I feel like we always get to this stage in a World Cup with South Africa as we don't know what they are. Like, Thursday's pod, I could have told you they've fixed their middle to lower order. That's sort of peeling over the cracks, and then they're just going to get it better and better. But now it's like, well, what if the middle to lower order doesn't work and the top order's shit again? They've just like squeaked past Nepal. I don't know. That Group 2 is a minefield. So yeah, I couldn't really. I think it's splitting hairs between those three, and any combo would be right or could be horrifically wrong. USA, I think the Cinderella story ends here at the Super 8s. They probably don't win another game realistically. But hey, you never know.
You wouldn't have said they would get through the group stage. So, but
No.
You just never know. You just never know. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of, so yeah, India, Australia. There's no reason not to pick those two teams. They're the strongest squads. They've won all. They haven't lost a game. I'd say the only thing I would add, I think Afghanistan aren't playing around. Like they've been on fire. And
Correct.
I do think that's an interesting matchup against Australia. Like that's a side, they are polar opposites. They don't like each other. Australia picks and chooses when they want to play. They're not going to sit this one out. I'll give you the tip. So there's going to be a lot of feeling in that game. That's for sure. I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
This pool could get very interesting if sort of Aussie India is a rain out.
Yeah. Or if
I think this pool is a lock, but then it's only a couple of things away. Like if say Aussie don't get to play Bangladesh and India do, like things could get interesting quickly. Just to contradict what I said sort of 5 minutes ago, but
yeah, and it's Bangladesh are playing. Like they're playing reasonable cricket. They haven't done a lot wrong. They've only lost one game, and they should probably.
And I think the surfaces will play in. I mean, obviously, India and Australia travel. They're top tier teams for a reason, but sort of as we saw in the group stages, Scotland did push Aussie, and these wickets and these surfaces sort of regress back to the median for some of these teams. So maybe Group 1 is the pool of death.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I'd rather be in Group 2, but in saying that, it's like you said, the West Indies, they could be anything. They could ride the wave. They're at home. The fans get behind them. South Africa, I think they've done everything right, and I think they're winning ugly, which I think they've never really done in the past, which is interesting. They're not relying on the top order because the top order's done fuck all. So at some point, that's got to click, right? They're playing on some dog shit wickets. They're gonna play on some better wickets. Their bowling attack's red hot. England, I don't know what to make of them. I don't know about their form. Their only loss really is against the red hot Australian side, and then after that they've sort of just demoed 2 minnows. So I don't even know what you can take out of that one. So I don't know. So top 4, gun to your head. Who you got?
I mean, gun to my head, I'm going to go India, Australia, South Africa, and England. I think is my gun to my head. But yeah, there's a real chance you just have to pull the trigger because the West Indies are in.
Yeah, I'll go the same, except I'll go the West Indies over England.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna ride the wave. I think, and maybe it's just gonna make me feel better that they knocked out New Zealand. I don't know. Sometimes you want to think that a team that beats your team is really good, so makes you feel better. There's like, oh, well, we lost to the champion. It's all good. Don't know if that's actually anything, but I think West Indies. There's a wave. There's a wave of momentum.
Yeah.
We've got West Indies, England first up in the group in the sort of Super 8 stage. It's going to be interesting, but
It's a huge game.
Yeah, if it's a big game first up, and I do think if it's not the West Indies, I think we're pretty locked in with India, Australia, South Africa.
Yeah.
If it's not, if one or two of those teams miss out, I like Afghanistan and I like England, obviously, to sort of push those teams.
Yeah, definitely. I think Afghans want to maybe sort of chuck a tenner on it and just keep tabs on them because those games against India, they'll be up for those two games, India and Aussie especially. So yeah, I wouldn't hate if you put 10 on them just to give yourself a bit of extra interest and make you tune into those games because I think those are going to be some really really good games of cricket. But yeah, I struggle to see them getting through.
It's just unfortunate what side of the draw they're on because I think if I replaced Afghanistan with West Indies and you put them in that other side, I'm actually picking Afghanistan to get through. Like I think that'd cause a team like England some real issues.
Or if for whatever reason Afghanistan, because they come second in our pool or whatever way it works, they end up in that pool too, and they're there instead of USA or however it works. Yeah, they could make some noise, and shit, they still could. Like we've seen Scotland versus Aussie, it was a lot closer than people thought. The Aussies didn't play very well and they rested some people, but yeah, Afghans dark horse, yeah, absolutely. Afghans dark horse to see maybe a wee Cinderella story for them.
Okay, final prediction. Who wins and who are they playing in the final? Based on what we've seen.
Yeah, it's tough, but I tell you what, if Stoinis and Zampa keep playing like this, they beat India in the final for me.
I'm going to second that one. That's what I'm going for so far. Australia to beat India and to be the undisputed champion of cricket, hold every single trophy, and to beat India again in another final. That'd be tough. That'd be tough for India, but that's what we're going with. So yeah. Anything else you want to touch on, Jacko?
Nah, Cap's still a chance or?
Nah, God no. Last game tonight. Last game tomorrow.
Last game.
Trenty. Any last words on Trenty and
Trenty's last game?
He's retiring.
Wow,
retiring from T20 World Cups.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, genuinely the last time he'll play for New Zealand, which is sort of, a bit of a somber note to end the pod on. But I think when it's all said and done, he's a top 3 black cap seamer all time. And there's an argument you could bump that to 2. Yeah, there's an argument he could sneak into 2, sort of all format. Top 5 that's in my head, he's 3 and no lower than 3. So, one of the great blokes too. I mean, if anyone's, if you've been around him or sort of been in the team with him or even net bowling and stuff around when he's there, he's sort of always got a big smile on his face and genuinely probably one of the great cricketers for New Zealand ever, and a top bloke too. So sad to see him go. Sad to see him go in the group stages, but hopefully we'll be back for a Champions Trophy and we can get another one of those in the locker.
Thank you, Trent. That's how we'll end the pod. Thank you, Trent. Thank you, Jacko. Thanks to all the fans. Thank you, Domino's. And we'll see you.
Domino's.
We'll see you in a few days for Super 8 action. Thanks, mate.